Okay, we are back and we will be continuing our discussion talking about order details. Order details. And here we're looking in relationship to shipping. One of the things that we have talked about in the past is the MSDS label. Okay, so the type of shipping indicated by the purchasers determine the time and the cost of the shipping. Order may be delivered in a single or multiple shipments. And if a supplier does not have all the items ordered, a partial shipment may come later from another distribution center. So these are just some of the nuances that are associated with shipping coming from a wholesaler or even a manufacturer. One of the things that must occur or must the shipped farm drug must have is what's called an MSDS, and that is a material safety data sheet. And this indicates when special shipping is required for hazardous substances, such as for chemotherapeutic agents. You may not see it for something like acetaminophen, prescription dose drug, or some other cream like a hydrocortisone cream, something along that line. But something that's not more potent will be many times associated with the MSDS. Okay, so the U.S. Postal Service, Federal Express, UPS, and others each have their own policy for shipping hazardous substances. In addition, the Federal Aviation Administration will not allow some substances to be shipped by plane. Often, these drugs must be shipped via a courier. Okay, so shipping is very important, and there are computational programs that track. Of course, UPS, United States Postal Office, Federal Express, and other couriers have their tracking software, which allows you to know when something has been picked up and when something that has been delivered. Sometimes challenges may occur, and these are associated with credits and returns. For example, each supplier has policy and procedures that must be followed in order to receive a credit on return, and everything, of course, is associated with careful documentation. Sometimes there are drugs that need to be returned. So if they're returned, there are particular paperwork that must be done, especially for controlled substances to drugs and other controlled substances. And of course, they have return policies. Sometimes you have to be paid for the return. Sometimes that is part of the agreement. So it depends on the wholesaler, manufacturer, and the courier, how much they charge for a particular return. We talked a little bit about the chemotherapeutic drugs and their uniqueness in that you must have an MSDS associated with it. The National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health published a very detailed guideline on how to handle safely and legally chemotherapeutic agents and other drugs that may be hazardous. One of the things that should be also noted when a drug is received, and many times the pharmacy technician, they are involved in that particular process, is that you look at accuracy. What does that mean in relationship to receiving a particular drug from a manufacturer or wholesaler in many cases? Well, accuracy is essential in checking in medication received from the supplier. So one must be alert that of drugs that may be incorrectly packed or damaged, outdated, missing from the supplier. And there are many ways that can be checked by looking at shipping invoices and purchase orders. What must be done manually in many cases is looking at the strength and amount of each item and making sure that they're correct. Another thing that's very important is the price. Okay, if the person who's sending the drug says that the price of this particular prescription is one thing and it's another, that must be checked. On the shipping price, making sure that is correct. If there's any type of damage done to the stock or something that may be broken, so that it has to be made, the supplier has to be made aware of it. It's also very important. And if there's any type of discrepancies in general, no matter what they are, in terms of what's being received, the pharmacy technician must be able to pick that up and alert the pharmacist that a challenge has occurred. So, what is associated in a little bit more detail, since we talk about receiving and ordering and receiving controlled substances? Well, Schedule 1 and 2 drugs have a special order form called DEA Form 222. That is DEA Form 222. That allows for a check of those particular hazardous materials or controlled drug substances. And this is associated with, of course, the Drug Enforcement Agency. So this system allows secure electronic transmission of the Schedule 1 through 5 controlled substances order with having to send in the support paper version of Form 222. So it can be electronically done and sent to the DEA. So controlled substances are shipped separately and of course checked in by a pharmacist. So even though the pharmacy technician may receive the order, those controlled substances under federal regulation must be checked out by the pharmacist. So let's look at some of the forms. This is on page 360 and 361. And the forms consist of ordering, confirming the order, shipment of the order from the wholesaler, manufacturer, and how to return items that may be damaged, improperly sent, and other changes to what was ordered in order to get a returns. So most pharmacies have, no matter whether it's in the community or hospital, have an online ordering system. And an online ordering system generally contains abbreviated description of the drug product in the formulary. The system automatically assigns to each other a purchase order number of identification. Once the order is finished, checked, and ready, it is sent to the supplier's system. Confirmation. Many times you get a confirmation printout, even though it's in the computer. Many times it says automatically duplicated because it's sent to the front office. A paper record is sometimes necessary. When an online purchase order is received by the supplier system checks the order to see what items are available. Next, a confirmation of the order is sent back to the purchaser system. This confirmation indicates which items will be shipped, which are unavailable, the cost of the item, and any related costs. And an order confirmation is saved on the system, and a copy, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, is printed out so that a hard copy is available for checking. One of the things that's also very important is what's called a shipping invoice. And it's a very important form. When the items are shipped, the supplier includes an invoice listing the items in the shipment. Items that may be shipped separately, items that are unavailable, and the cost of the shipment. The invoice must be checked item by item against the items in the shipment in order to make certain that nothing is missing. So this is very important. So there's a manual check of the shipping invoice, even though it may be computerized in many cases. And there is mistakes that happens, sometimes occurs. So pre-printed multi-part forms are often used for returns, though some computer inventory systems generate their own. And they must have the original PO number of where when those particular items were ordered, must have the item number, the quantity, the reason for return. So, and there's many different type of reasons why a particular drug may be returned. Shipping damage, expired products, or change needs can occur that will allow for a return to happen. Okay, so these are the major forms that you will see in relationship to inventory. Now that you have received those particular information, you have a few things that you need to do. We have to look at the packaging, the physical organization, isolated consignment stock, 340B. We're going to talk about that in some details. Point of view stations, durable and non-durable equipment supplies, and controlled substances once again. So let's take a quick look at that and begin to talk about some of these things. But allow me to give you some foundational understanding of why stocking and storing is so important. Most medications are received from suppliers in bulk stock bottles whose label information are required by the FDA. In hospitals, medications are often packed in individual doses called unit dose packaging. There are many different types of regulations that are associated with the repackaging of medication, because remember, we just finished talking about their coming in as bulk. So the USP and state laws provide regulation for repackaging medications. Another thing that is very important is that when drugs come in, they must be stored according to the manufacturer specifications. Many drugs are at room temperature, but some may be kept within the refrigerator, which is at 4 degrees. And so the storage room or drug shelves must have the adequate ventilation, the air distribution that allows for proper airflow around the medication, and of course, proper temperature is very important. And then many things that is helpful in the inventory process are barcodes. For most medications, the barcodes include the product's NDC number, which in terms identify the product's and the product size. When the computer systems use barcodes as a double check for the pharmacist and a technician when filling prescriptions. These barcodes are also used in the hospital for what is called bedside medication verification. When administering a medication, a nurse scans his or her own barcode name badge, the patient's barcode arm badge, and the medication barcode, and the computer thus verify that the correct medication is given to the patients. This particular type of system has really helped in decreasing the amount of problematic situations when someone's given the wrong medication. And when we continue on our next section, we will be talking about other items that's located on this PowerPoint slide.